Today, California Governor Gavin Newsom had a sudden revelation. After 5.5 years in office, homelessness in the state is out of control. Well, it's so out of control, and he said it seemingly out of nowhere. He actually issued an executive order telling state agencies to begin clearing the extensive homeless encampments on state property and asked cities to do the same in their jurisdictions. Now, some claim Newsom is acting now due to a recent Supreme Court decision allowing local governments to crack down on homeless encampments, but the timing doesn't seem, well, it doesn't, I guess in some ways, seems pretty rich, considering we're so close to the November elections. Anyway, our own Sarah Carter spent the day in San Francisco asking locals for their reaction to the news. Here's what they had to say.
Governor Newsom's executive order to clean up the state now. So he just signed an executive order. It was based on a Supreme Court decision in June to get the state cleaned up. That means homeless encampments on the street, people out living. So how do you feel about that now that he's...
I feel like it's appropriate. The city definitely needs the help.
I'm conflicted because I know the Supreme Court had the decision which allows him to do this. I do see the areas in San Francisco which I really do need to be cleaned up, but then I think the other half of the equation is where do people go, what kind of services are there, and
can it be afforded?
Yeah.
Do you think it's more of a political issue now that it's an election year? I mean, some people said they would have rather seen this.
100%.
100% political.
That certainly is political. I mean, sometimes it's incentives, right? If the people who are in power are incentivized to act only when it's a political year, then sometimes that's the way it is.
Do you feel like leadership in California, particularly with the Governor Newsom, do you think that they should have been thinking about this much longer, I mean, much before 2024 and the November elections?
Yeah, well, but it took actually the Supreme Court to make the change. And so maybe that impacted it also.
Yeah, is that mind-boggling to you?
Yeah,
like, why wouldn't you want your state to be clean?
Exactly.
All right, joining us now from San Francisco, our own Sarah Carter. What's next? They're going to get rid of sanctuary state status with free health care and education for illegal immigrants. Is that next?
I don't know if that's next, Sean, but this executive order basically directed state agencies and the local government to identify those most dangerous encampments, many of the ones which you and I reported on in the past, both here in San Francisco, Oakland, and in Los Angeles. Once they identify those encampments, they're giving people only 2 days to get out of them. And residents are saying, wait, how much money is this going to cost? Where are you going to put these people? Are they going to end up back on the streets? It's going to take a lot longer than a few months before an election. And this about face is another thing that they've been questioning. It's going to take a lot more than a few months to get everything cleaned up in the state of California. In fact, they're saying it looks more like years. And honestly, I think a lot of residents will believe it when they see it. Back to you, Sean.
Yeah. All right, Sarah Carter in San Francisco. Thank you. Joining us now, the host of Tomi Lahren is Fearless on Outkick. Tomi Lahren, the co-host of Outnumbered. Emily Compagno is with us. All right. You absolutely nailed it, Tomi. Joe is out, Kamala's in. But part two was it was going to be Gavin. What happened?
Well, listen, he's doing everything he can to, again, inspire my theories that he still might step in. Now, I understand that Kamala Harris is the likely nominee, but in looking at this, it's really convenient that before an election, he's deciding to finally clean up his state. I think he's in year 11 of his plan now to clean up California. But all of this is motivated by something. It's not just his goodwill to the people. I'm wondering if a donor or a friend of his is contracted with building housing. There's got to be something more here. Otherwise, maybe, Sean, he's just been watching your show for so long that he's finally taking the red pill and he finally wants to clean up California. I'm not going to hold my breath, but I know he's a fan, so maybe, just maybe.
I don't know if he's a fan is quite the right word. I know he does watch Fox. We're grateful for that. Emily, what's your take?
Well, look, he shares a donor pool with Kamala Harris, right? They both came up out of the 7 very wealthy California families like the Gettys and the like. So I think also like her, he shares an inability to commit to any type of ideology that makes sense. over 20 years ago, I was subjected to his care not cash policy while he was mayor of San Francisco. That was disastrous. And he clearly didn't take his own advice, because then all he did was dump cash into the homelessness problem. In the last 5 years alone, California has spent $24 billion on the homeless situation, and yet the homelessness has spiked. In fact, skyrocketed to the point where when you break that down per homeless person, it's $160,000 that California has spent of those Californians' hard-earned tax dollars on each individual homeless person. LA County, $1 billion alone in the year 2021. So now he's coming and he's saying, oh, I'm following the Supreme Court, and this is against cruel and unusual punishment. Look, it's for the safety of those homeless. But at the end of the day, the policy is absolute trash, just like that state. And what he's doing is trying to navigate those slippery waters so he can hitch himself to Kamala's train that apparently was anointed by the Democratic machine, and he's just waiting for his turn.
Exit question, quick answer, both of you. Tommy, I think as America, as we now vet Kamala Harris, begins to understand her radical Marxist, leftist California values, they will reject her. Do you agree?
Boy, I hope so, but it's going to be up to the Trump campaign to really hit her on policy and to brand her as a California liberal. I really fear that some of the cheap shots, even though they're funny, calling her dumb as rocks or laughing Kamala, I fear that they're not going to work. Much better to hit her on policy and hit her hard. She's a California liberal at the end of the day. Don't California your America.
Any real scrutiny, I don't think she can survive. 10 seconds, Emily.
Remember, she was educated in Canada. Tommy is right. It's not in the bag, guys. We got to get out and vote.
All right. Thank you both, Emily and Tommy. When we come back, more Hannity straight ahead.
I found Pretty Litter.
Right. All right, guys. So, what's going on in California? Right? Sarah Carter talking to San Francisco residents about Newsom's order. People are just confused, I think, because all of a sudden Newsom wants to actually clean up some issues in California. What is happening here? Newsom he hasn't done squat in the last few years, and suddenly he wants to clean up the state, fix the homeless issue, get in there and make some things. What's his play? It's 100%. He's either playing for president, or what I've said for a while, I think he might be making a play for vice president. Kamala still hasn't announced her VP pick. Speaking of Kamala, Cali Liberal. That's a great nickname, guys. Like, I think Trump needs to use that one, because everyone's getting out of California right now. Everyone's exiting California. Why? Because, the state has gone to the bottom. If you're from California, let me know if I'm wrong, but sitting here in Tennessee, I'm seeing everyone getting out of California, going to Texas, going to Tennessee, right? Why? Because the leadership in California is awful. Newsom is crazy. Kamala is cut from the same cloth, and that's where Donald Trump needs to hit her. Love that nickname. She is a Cali liberal, because Cali liberals are crazier than regular liberals. And it has nothing to do with them being from California. It's all about the group that's there leading that state. Anyway, let me know what you think, guys. Hey, I appreciate y'all watching this video. Leave a like and support the channel. Subscribe. We're going to be back with another video right after this on the Gutfeld Show. So, yeah, y'all subscribe and catch all those streams and videos every day of the week, guys. All right. I appreciate y'all. You'll have a good one. I'll see y'all maybe here